8 years ago, I was a custodian at Simeon Academy. Tonight, my company is signing a contract to maintain 41 Chicago public schools buildings. Say something.
Xavier, I swear I had no idea. This whole time, I didn't know it was you.
I know you didn't know. That was the point.
I was wrong. I was wrong about everything. Victor left me with nothing. I lost the house. I lost so much, Xavier. And the whole time you were quietly building all of this. And I never saw it. I never saw you.
Amaya, I have documentation of your affair. I still have the draft custody schedule your attorney floated. I've had both for years.
Then why did you let me work here? Why give me any of this? If you already knew everything.
8 years ago, I was a custodian at Simeon Career Academy. Tonight, my company is signing a contract to maintain 41 Chicago public schools. Applause fills the ballroom. My eyes find Amaya at the back of the room, her champagne glass tilting in a trembling hand. It slips and shatters against the floor. "Xavier," she says later, in a side room, mascara smudged. "I swear I had no idea it was you." "I know you didn't know," I tell her. "That was the point. I was wrong about everything," she says, crying now. "Victor left me with nothing. I lost the house. I lost so much. And the whole time you were building all of this, and I never saw you. I have documentation of your affair," I say quietly. "I still have the custody schedule your attorney tried to push through. I've had both for years. Then why did you let me work here? Why give me any of this if you already knew?" I draw a long breath. The answer that's coming will bring her to her knees. But to understand it, you need to know how we got here. My name is Xavier Ellison. I'm 42. I always believed that if you showed up, worked with your hands, and kept your word, the world eventually paid you back in respect. I wasn't wrong about the truth, only about the timeline. 11 years I worked custodial maintenance for Chicago public schools. No write-ups, no missed shifts, not even the winter I had walking pneumonia. It wasn't glamorous work. Emptying trash cans, fixing jammed lockers, waxing gym floors until they shone Janly. But it paid steady, and steady was something I'd promised myself I'd give my son, because I never had it growing up. Amaya and I had been married 13 years, owned a modest 2-story house in Bronzeville, and had an 11-year-old son, Andre. I thought we were building something together. One October evening, walking up to the porch with groceries, I heard Amaya through the screen door, on speaker with her mother, Afua. "I can't keep pretending, Mama. Victor's helping me look at places near the lake. I can't keep telling people my husband's a janitor. I'm done." "He works hard," Afua said. "Working hard isn't the same as going anywhere. I deserve someone who isn't ashamed to walk into a room with me." A jar of sauce slipped from my hand and hit the porch boards. I didn't storm in. I don't yell when I'm hurt. I go quiet, and I go to work, because that call didn't break something new. It confirmed what I'd already suspected for over a year. Sitting in my car, I replayed an old voicemail, one I'd never deleted. 14 months earlier, a butt dial from Amaya's phone had caught her laughing with Victor. The second I'm free of the janitor, I am never looking back. I never confronted her. Some would call that weakness. I called it strategy. A man with a son to protect doesn't burn the house down in anger. He builds a new one quietly, brick by brick. I remembered the double shifts I'd in. Work to pay $2,400 for a branding course Amaya swore would change her life. And how she'd later told her book club, "He does floors, don't mind the smell." I said nothing then either. I just picked the groceries back up and walked inside, waiting for the right moment. What nobody knew was that the janitor she was ashamed of already had a lawyer, a business plan, and a sister with a law degree working quietly behind the scenes. The next morning, Amaya asked for the divorce herself. I said okay, no fight. I only asked that Andre stay in the house near his school. I'd find somewhere else. She softened, reached across the table like she might touch my hand, and thanked me for being so generous. At mediation, when her side tried to trim my visitation down to 1 weekend a month, citing her need for stability. I told the mediator plainly I wouldn't sign anything that reduced my time with my son. By the time the paperwork was final, my full visitation had been restored. Every other weekend. Holidays split evenly. She never brought that draft up again, but I kept a copy of it filed away with everything else. When the divorce was finalized, Amaya couldn't resist telling me I wouldn't have to worry about money, since you don't really have any. What she didn't know, 18 months earlier, we'd taken out a home equity loan, supposedly for renovations. My sister Essie, a family law attorney, had shown me how to legally redirect those funds into a registered business, fully disclosed, both our names on record. Amaya signed the paperwork and never asked what happened to the money. That loan became the seed money for Legacy Facilities Management, LLC. The house she thought she was generously leaving me came with an obligation she didn't meet code. One she was about to inherit alone. Weeks after the divorce, Victor moved in with his Mercedes and lake trips. Friends sent me screenshots of her new life, captioned things like, "Finally living the life I deserved." I felt nothing but distance, like weather reports from a city I no longer lived in. I worked. I picked up every overtime shift, banked every dollar, and used a borrowed office from Essie's Hez firm to write proposals using everything I knew about what schools actually needed. My first contract was tiny, 2 elementary schools in Englewood. But contracts build reputations, and reputations build bigger contracts. Afua called me one night, apologetic on Amaya's behalf. "I raised my daughter better than this. You're a good man, Xavier." Her words settled something in me. Not vindication, just confirmation. Within a year, Legacy had 11 employees, 3 vans, with a company logo Essie designed, and 4 CPS contracts. I hired men who'd worked beside me at Simeon. Men who trusted me because they'd stood next to me for years and knew I didn't cut corners. Essie came by most Fridays with coffee and a legal pad, reminding me often, "You're not building this to prove something to Amaya. You're building it so Andre never feels small the way you did." Andre spent his weekends drawing at a folding table in my office, proud that the company was ours, yours, mine, and Aunt Essie's. 2 years passed. Legacy grew from 4 schools to 17, and I moved into a proper West Loop office. Standing at the window one October evening, I felt not anger, but patience finally paying interest. I had no idea Amaya was about to walk back into my life. Not as my wife, but as an employee who had no idea whose company she'd just joined. Victor's downfall came fast. A lawsuit exposed nearly $180,000 in hidden debts. He fled to Atlanta, leaving Amaya to face foreclosure alone. She lost the house and moved back in with Afua. Then Essie brought me a resume, Amaya Ellison, applying for an administrative coordinator, role at Legacy Facilities Management, unaware it was mine. My name appeared nowhere in the company's public materials anymore. Essie asked if I was sure. "Andre needs his mother to be stable," I said, "and Amaya needs to learn some things the hard way, in a place where I control the lesson." Amaya was hired, working on a floor she'd never seen me on. Thriving, organized, sharp, proud of her fresh start, never imagining I was floors above her. Reviewing her paycheck among 200 others. The cracks began in a strategy meeting, when Amaya suggested the company downplay its blue-collar roots for a CPS press packet, saying some people just clean floors and never move past it. Herb Marcus, one of my first hires, replied coolly, "Funny, the boss tells that story every chance he gets." "Mr. Ellison," Amaya's smile froze. Then Andre, riding down in the elevator with her one day, bragged about his dad's big corner office. That night, alone with cold tea, she pieced it together. Marcus's comment, Andre's remark, the fact she'd never met the founder. Digging through an old contract file, she found it. Xavier D. Ellison, founder and CEO. She stood in the restroom mirror, hands trembling, dropping her coffee mug, whispering, "No, it can't be." Around that time, Essie showed me a video she and Andre had put together. Old footage of me, fixing boilers at midnight, our first tiny office, and a crayon drawing Andre made with the words, "My dad is my hero." I asked her to use it at the upcoming CPS contract signing. At the ceremony, in front of nearly 200 people, I was introduced as founder and CEO. I kept my remarks simple, the way I keep most things. 8 years ago, I was a custodian at Simeon, emptying trash cans, fixing broken lockers at 2 a.m., so kids wouldn't have a jammed locker slowing them down. Tonight, my company was signing a 5-year deal to maintain 41 schools, including the one where I started. I found Amaya's eyes across the room, just as her champagne glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the floor. The video played, the boiler, the folding chairs, Andre's crooked marker, and finally, his drawing. The room went silent. People wiped their eyes. Amaya stood frozen, tears falling. Afterward, in the side room, she asked why I'd hidden everything and still let her work there. I told her the truth. I wasn't protecting my pride. I was protecting Andre, who 3 weeks earlier had come to my office and asked me, seriously, to give his mother one more chance. That's the only reason there's a contract for you at all, I said, and left her sobbing. Amaya signed a new employment agreement the next week. No favoritism, clear expectations, alongside a fair custody arrangement drafted by Essie. I kept my emotional distance but never diminished her. We met bi-weekly over coffee to discuss Andre. Conversations that were stiff at first, but grew into quiet mutual respect. You've changed, she told me once. I didn't change who I was, I said. I just stopped hiding it to make people comfortable. Legacy grew to 52 schools. Amaya overheard CPS directors crediting our win to trust, built over a decade of me never missing. A shift, never cutting a corner, and something in her shifted for good. She grew quieter, more grounded, showed up fully for Andre, stayed for his whole basketball game instead of leaving early. One evening, alone in my office looking over the Chicago skyline, I held the flash drive Essie once gave me and felt something close to peace. None of it had been about revenge. It had always been about one boy learning that a man's worth isn't his job title, but what he's willing to build and protect when everyone else has already written him off. That Sunday, Xavier, Amaya, and Andre sat together in the same church pew. Not a reunion, just two parents who'd broken each other, choosing peace for their son's sake. Afua hugged me afterward. You did good, Xavier. Real good. I didn't love Amaya the way I once had, and I doubted I ever would again. But I'd chosen not to let bitterness become the water Andre had to swim through. That's the harder path, and the one I'd choose again. Quiet dignity isn't announced. It's practiced one ordinary Tuesday at a time, long after anyone's left to give you credit for it.